Hello, I see you. If you clicked on a video with the words social anxiety in the title, it's because you know this struggle intimately. You know the way the world treats a casual conversation, a simple gathering, or even a sudden phone call as a high-stakes performance review. And if that resonates, I want to pause right here and say, you are not overreacting, you are not being dramatic, and you are not weak for feeling this way. The intensity you experience is real, it has an explanation, and it deserves to be taken seriously. Today, we're going deep into the psychology of the socially anxious person. We're not just validating the exhaustion, we're dissecting the roots, and most importantly, arming you with the psychological tools you can use to start unlearning the fear. Let's start with the truth of what it feels like. It's that moment you walk into a room and instantly, your brain throws an internal alarm switch. You are convinced that everyone has paused their own internal world to assess you. You feel like you're walking onto a stage, even if you're just finding a chair. This is the invisible spotlight. The truth is, most people are entirely consumed by their own thoughts. But for you, the spotlight is blindingly real. Your mind is screaming, act natural, don't look nervous. The sheer effort to appear normal is exhausting. And it's the ultimate paradox. The attempt to control the anxiety is what fuels it. And maybe you've noticed this too. The more you try to control your expressions, your gestures, your words, the less natural you actually feel. It's like trying to grip water in your hands. The tighter you hold on, the more it slips away. Sometimes you even find yourself rehearsing in your head before speaking, constructing a sentence word for word, only to feel it land flat when it finally comes out. And then you analyze it immediately. Was that stupid? Did they think I'm weird? The conversation never feels effortless. It feels like walking a tightrope with no net. The core agonizing fear is not interaction itself. It is the fear of negative evaluation. You are terrified of being judged as awkward, weak, or incompetent. This fear drives every decision you make. And it's not just about strangers. Social anxiety can show up around friends, co-workers, even family. You may love these people deeply, and yet your brain still tells you, don't mess this up. Don't let them see you slip. For those of us with social anxiety, the battle is waged in tiny, relentless skirmishes every day. It is the agonizing ritual of the performance. You're not just participating in a casual chat. You are relentlessly monitoring your behavior. Did I talk too loud? Was my body language open? Was my laugh forced? This constant self-surveillance is cognitively draining. You're not in the conversation. You're hovering above it, evaluating yourself from the outside, watching yourself like an actor trying to get every line right. And that self-monitoring never lets up. Then comes the great toxic friend, avoidance. It feels like a win in the moment because the anxiety vanishes. But avoidance is a lie. Every time you successfully avoid a social situation, you teach your brain a dangerous lesson. That situation was dangerous and my fear saved me. You reinforce the fear, make your world smaller, and sacrifice genuine connection. And avoidance doesn't just shrink your social life, it shrinks your opportunities, your confidence, and your sense of freedom. What feels like protection is actually a cage. And finally, the post-mortem analysis. You get home and the brain's jury is convened. You endlessly replay snippets, searching for the moment you failed. Your mind is a ruthless prosecutor, finding fault in every small detail, ensuring that the anxiety not only sticks around, but intensifies for the next time. And the cruel irony is, you rarely replay the good moments. You don't remember the smile someone gave you, the nod of agreement, the warmth of connection. Instead, your brain hits repeat on that one awkward pause, that one stammered word, magnifying it as proof that you don't belong. This isn't just a quirky character trait, it's a clinical condition, social anxiety disorder, or SAD. It's defined by an intense, persistent fear of social situations involving possible scrutiny by others. The anxiety is simply not proportional to the actual threat. This is compounded by the physical betrayal. When your body mounts a powerful sympathetic nervous system response, your heart races, your palms sweat, you blush. The visible signs of anxiety become a secondary and sometimes greater fear because it confirms in your mind that they can see I'm anxious. And so the cycle deepens. You feel anxious, then you fear that others can see you're anxious, which makes you even more anxious. It's like being trapped inside a hall of mirrors, each reflection making the fear bigger. If you ever feel alone in this, remember that this struggle is not new. While the term social phobia was popularized in the 20th century, the experience is ancient. Consider the Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard. Much of his work is about the paralyzing intensity of the self, and he himself was deeply anxious and reclusive. He wrote about the agony of being seen and the fear of the crowd, capturing that sense of scrutiny we feel today. In fact, one of the earliest terms for a type of social anxiety was Schamhaftigkeit, a German word for shamefulness or excessive self-consciousness. Knowing this helps us reframe it. You're not failing at modern life. You're struggling with a primal human condition, the fear of exclusion. And that's important. This isn't weakness. This isn't you being too sensitive or too shy. This is an ancient survival system misfiring in a modern world. Why you? It's a complex, multi-layered storm built from biology, environment, and pivotal experiences. You may have inherited a more sensitive system. Anxiety runs in families. You may have inherited a temperamental vulnerability, a nervous system that is simply more reactive to stress and threat. The overactive amygdala is your brain's fear center. In SAD, the amygdala tends to be hyper-excitable and easily triggered. It's ringing the alarm bells at maximum volume when the threat is only a casual greeting. The hippocampus helps us recall past events. If a humiliating event, a social trauma, occurs, the hippocampus may incorrectly tag all future similar social environments as dangerous, fueling the intense fear. Then there's the environment you grew up in. If you were raised in an environment that was highly critical, that demanded perfection, or that ridiculed your mistakes, you internalize a powerful lesson: I am only acceptable if I am perfect. This creates crushing performance anxiety. A single humiliating event, getting severely bullied or being publicly rejected, can act as the triggering anchor. This teaches your brain social situations are dangerous. You may have also learned the anxiety by watching. If you grew up seeing a parent who was intensely socially anxious, constantly avoiding interactions or worrying, you learned that social situations are something to be feared. The result is a brain that's highly motivated to protect you, but is operating with a completely distorted map of reality. Since this is a deeply learned process, it can also be an unlearned one. The first step is challenging the relentless mental chatter. Your anxious thoughts are not facts, they are just predictions and opinions dressed up as facts. You are now your own detective. Let's dismantle a few common cognitive distortions that fuel SAD, mind reading. They think I'm boring or awkward. The challenge: what is the evidence? You are not psychic. The truth is usually they are not thinking about you at all, or their assessment is far more neutral than you assume. Fortune telling or catastrophizing. I'm going to run out of things to say. The silence will be deafening and I will be ruined. The challenge: what is the most likely outcome? It's a moment of silence and then the conversation continues. You must downgrade the event from a catastrophe to a tolerable inconvenience. This brings us to one of the most powerful psychological concepts for anxiety, the spotlight effect. This is a cognitive bias where we overestimate the extent to which others are paying attention to our appearance, behavior, and mistakes. There are studies on this where students were asked to wear embarrassing t-shirts and estimate how many people noticed. Consistently, the students wildly overestimated the number of people who actually recalled the shirt. The psychological takeaway is this: the spotlight is only in your head. People are not nearly as focused on you as you fear they are. And if that's true, then every anxious prediction loses some of its power. Because even if you stumble, even if you blush, even if you forget your words, most people won't even notice. And the ones who do, they move on almost instantly. This is where we retrain the brain. You cannot wait for the anxiety to go away before you act. You must act while anxious so your body can learn that the danger is false. The anxious brain is relentlessly self-focused. You must pivot from "how am I doing" to "what is happening around me." When you go into a conversation, set a curiosity goal, not a performance goal. Aim to learn 3 things about the other person. Focus entirely on what they are saying and asking follow-up questions. when your focus is outward, your internal critic doesn't have the space to operate. Next, you must drop safety behaviors, the little rituals we use to cope, but that secretly sabotage us. Rehearsing lines, bringing a buffer friend, checking your phone constantly, or avoiding eye contact. Safety behaviors tell your brain, I only survived that situation because I used my shield. You must start dropping these shields one by one. Go to a gathering for 15 minutes without checking your phone. You need to experience the event, feel the anxiety rise, and watch the anxiety fall without your usual protective rituals. This is the crucial evidence that proves you are safe. Finally, gradual exposure. You can't tackle a level 10 fear immediately. Create an anxiety hierarchy and start small. Smile at the barista or bus driver. Ask a store employee a slightly complex question. Call a professional office and ask something that requires a 2-minute conversation. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to feel the anxiety, stay in the situation, and observe that the feared outcome does not happen, or that you can tolerate the feeling. Every time you prove the alarm is false, you build resilience. And this is where courage comes in. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. Courage means you walk into the room, you make the call, you raise your hand, even though your heart is pounding and your palms are sweating. Every act of courage teaches your brain that you are bigger than the fear. The journey away from social anxiety is a journey toward choice. It's not about becoming an extrovert. It's about having the option to go to that event, pursue that career, or make that call without feeling physically ill. If this has been your reality for a long time, I strongly encourage you to seek professional support. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and exposure and response prevention, ERP, are the evidence-based treatments that work. A qualified therapist is an expert guide who can help you dismantle the fear response in a structured, supported way. Remember this truth from the psychologist Carl Rogers. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Stop fighting the anxiety and start accepting the feeling, and that is where the real power to change begins. And I want you to remember this too. You are not broken. You are not beyond help. You are not the only one. Every step, no matter how small, is evidence that change is possible. Let me know in the comments below. What is the single safety behavior you are going to challenge this week? Share it, and you'll find a supportive community ready to listen.